track of time. And we're recording. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Why is it not going? There it is. Okay, so time management. What is it? So time management is defined as the process of planning and exercising the conscious relation of time, right? It's as easy as just knowing, okay, we have something to do from this time to this time. Let's be conscious of that, right? In this presentation, we're going to go over what time management strategies are and how to use them. And a lot of these are going to be related to school, but we're also going to be looking at some time management strategies that you guys can use outside of, school life. So everyday home life, maybe work life. If some of you guys here are parents, we can totally look at that stuff as well. Admit another person. So the goal after this presentation is really to become more organized, use time effectively, and release the pressures that we have from us always thinking we just don't have enough time to do this. So show of hands or show of, I think you guys can use like emojis here. How many of you guys do have trouble managing time? Maybe you always feel like you're late. Thank you, Daisy. Or you think I have plenty of time to do this and you don't. Thank you, Mai. Anybody else? Okay, cool. So we're all here to learn. Okay, so what comes from not knowing how to manage time or having a poor sense of time and not being organized with our time. Sorry, I have this thing and it's kind of in my way. So people with poor time management often feel stressed out. They feel anxiety and constantly under pressure, right? They often want to do something, an activity, a project, homework, any type of task, but they can't seem to get it done because they're not managing their time effectively, right? And one can think, how does one not know how to control time? And it has to do with procrastination. And everybody here more or less knows what procrastination is, right? Has anybody, can anybody actively say they're a procrastinator in school or in life? Mai, do you have, is that just a hand up or is just a question? And if you guys do have questions, you're welcome to put your hand up and ask me at any time, because I'm one of those people, if I have a question and I wait till the very end, I'm going to forget it. Okay, so please feel free to ask questions during presentation. Maya, is that a hand up or you're just saying you're active procrastinator? Okay, I'm going to move on. So procrastination, what is it, right? The action of delaying or postponing something. And procrastination is often due to not managing time, not managing time correctly, or being aware of how much time you're actually giving yourself. And it can often be sometimes that maybe we were lazy or we forgot, and it is very natural to get lazy. So don't think that it's a bad thing to be lazy, because we're all human. We all get tired. We all get a little lazy from time to time, right? It's, I guess, how we, oh my God, it's how we approach managing our time. So I'm going to show you guys a quick little video that kind of looks over what types of procrastination is, because there are multiple types of, I guess, procrastination. And some of these maybe you guys can relate to, and maybe some of these you've never heard of, but when you hear the video and you hear all of, what is it called? The symptoms, for lack of better words, of what kind of procrastinator you are, maybe you're one of these.
Let's talk about better health. If you ever feel anxious, depressed, stressed, overwhelmed by...
Hi, welcome to Positive Seed. Here are 5 different types of procrastinators. Number 1, the perfectionist. They're afraid to start the task because they pay too much attention
All right, let me get back to. Oh, geez. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 minute. Okay, sorry about that. So after seeing this video and we see the different types of procrastinator, the person who avoids, the crisis maker, the dreamer, I'm not sure what else, it was a pretty quick video. How many of you guys can relate to some of these procrastination types? Daisy, what would, if you want to, you don't have to, but which one do you feel you're more like? Because I, for one, I think my area of procrastination was maybe the avoider. When I was in graduate school, I had a lot of things on my plate. I was juggling, you know what? I'm probably the avoider and the dreamer, and I'll give you the example. And then Daisy, I'll come to you. So I say the avoider because I had a lot of things on my schedule, right? I was holding down 3 part-time jobs. I was a full-time graduate student. So I was basically at school from 5 a.m. and I left around like 10 o'clock. And then the days that I didn't go to school, I would work or study, right? Or I would try to take on more maybe part-time jobs, because a part of one of my part-time jobs was I was an on-call paraprofessional. So that meant for my local school district, they would call me when they would need a sub, right? So obviously that cut into my study time or cut into any of the time, the free time that the very little free time that I had, right? So you can say that was a part of the dreamer in me trying to like get more jobs because I needed more money, right? Because when you go to school, you need money. So a part of my procrastination was having too much on my plate, trying to create a schedule to fit all that on the plate. And then the avoider part of me was the little time that I had to myself. I wanted so badly to just be on my phone, to just like watch Netflix, to just take a nap, because I didn't want to read 2,000 pages on some sort of theory that I'm not going to understand. So a part of that for me is just setting realistic goals. And we'll get into how to manage some of those strategies. But I think my combination personally, I was the dreamer and a little bit of an avoider. Daisy, do you want to share?
Yes. I would like to say that I'm a perfectionist. So whenever I'm doing my work, like I'm studying, I tend to like pay attention too much on the details.
Mm,
And like, for example, if I'm working on an essay, I tend to take too long on like one paragraph. And
yeah.
it just takes up my whole day. And yeah, I would say that I'm a perfectionist.
Okay. I like that. I see where the the want to be, because I feel that too, especially like I got my MA in literature. So my papers, and especially being in grad school, there was always this pressure to be absolutely perfect. When you walked into a grad class, the first day, everybody's trying to outsmart each other. Like, I'm smarter than you. I know this. I know that. And I'm like, oh, okay. So everything for me, everything I turned in had to be perfect. So I completely see where you're coming from. And I think I've sat there trying to perfect like 3 sentences before I moved on. And I think that's a little bit of the avoider inside both of us, because we want it to be perfect because you don't want it to be wrong. You don't want to go back and fix it. You want it to be great the first time. You know, it's a little bit of fear of, I don't want this to be wrong. I want it to be perfect. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's how you felt, but that's how I felt. Anybody else want to share their type of procrastination, if they related to any of these? No? Okay. Thank you, Daisy, for being brave. So here are some other types of procrastination, right? I don't want to say that, well, I guess maybe they're types, but they're different factors that lead into procrastination, right? Other causes of poor time management. So lack of motivation and energy, right? So when I say lack of motivation, it's like the task is there, like maybe we have a project or homework or we have something to do, but I am just lacking the motivation to do it. And we might ask ourselves, why is that? One, because it seems intimidating. I don't want to write this essay because I don't know too much about the subject that I'm writing. And that means that I have to put in the work to research, to read, to look at peer reviews, to ask questions, right? That's a lot of work going into a paper, right? And it's intimidating. And it's okay to say that it is intimidating, right? But it's about just creating a realistic goal. And again, we're going to get into that. Number two, it's boring, right? We don't want to do something because it's boring. No one looks forward to cleaning the bathroom at the end of the week. I dread it. And if I want a lazy bum day someday, I have to do it on my Saturday. I don't want to do it, but it's there and I have to do it. And frustrating. And this kind of goes hand in hand with the intimidating part, right? Not wanting to do something because it's frustrating, or maybe we try to do it and it's frustrating. We're like, nope, I don't want to do this. Flip the table, right? It causes us to avoid something because we don't want to put the energy into something you don't want to do, but you have to get it done. So it's a dread, right? The lack of motivation and energy falls into us having poor time management. The other thing is distractions, right? Phones, music. There's a poster over there that I keep staring at because I get nervous. And then here's something that everybody's going to relate to. When you guys have projects, homework, essays at home, who starts to clean up or organize around their house because you don't want to do your homework? Suddenly the laundry needs to get folded. Suddenly the dog needs to go out. The cat's on my lap, so I can't do homework because she needs to get pet. Even if something doesn't exist, we're going to do it anyway. Does anybody have that? You're very guilty of this. I know. I have 2 dogs and a cat, and they must all leave the room when I do something, right? So if you have projects or homework or just in something that needs to get done, I think a part of something that we need to realize and take into account is our distractions and having the willpower to put the phone away, to go charge it, to go put it in another area, to move away from the TV, to move away from the pets, to, you know, I will clean this later. So I think it's just us taking responsibility and putting away those distractions so we can get to the task at hand. And I know that's really hard, but it's about establishing realistic goals and a routine to follow, right? And again, we'll get into that. And then this is my favorite, the poor sense of time. We may see 5 minutes as an hour, but it's not. My partner, in the morning, I have to wake up at 6:50 in the morning to get myself ready and then to go ahead and get our lunches ready, and we're out the door by like 7 o'clock. He says, I'll get up in 5 minutes, and 30 minutes passes. And then he gets up, holy crap, I'm almost late for work, rushes through getting ready, rushes through breakfast, almost forgets his lunch, runs over my foot, and he's late by 2 minutes. But only because he thought he had 5 more minutes, or because he thinks that getting ready is 5 minutes when it really takes him 20. Poor sense of time. Who else is guilty of this? Thank you. So how do we manage time? How do we make procrastination go away if we can. Procrastination isn't something that we can make it go away, but we can definitely do things to correct it, make it better, make ourselves more organized, and, create a, like a healthy schedule that isn't going to put pressure or stress on us, right? And here are some of those strategies, right? Something that is very helpful to students and to people in general is buying a planner or a calendar, and everybody in their mother has a phone. Your phone has a calendar too. Your little Apple Watches and other devices that we put on our wrist, those have calendars too, right? You can set reminders, you can set dates, you can schedule what your week is going to look like. You guys all have class schedules, right? Put them in there. Put in timers and reminders. Hey, you got 15 more minutes till class. Let's start walking over there. You got 15 more minutes until your doctor's appointment. You could even put, hey, let's take a 30-minute break. That's a 30-minute power nap right there. It's time for lunch. There is nothing wrong with using your smart device to take control and organize the way we run our daily schedule, the way we run our life, right? Designating time specifically for tasks. Now, I personally say this because when I was a graduate student, my weekends, I would say they're dedicated for studying or they're dedicated for homework. And when I mean dedicating, I literally have to make a time slot for the studying to commence, right? So if it's my Saturday, of course, I want to sleep in a little bit. I set an alarm to maybe wake up at 8 in the morning, right? Because every day I wake up at like 4:30. 8 in the morning, okay, let's go ahead, get the book. Let's do American Lit for about 2 hours. And then at this time, I'll move on to British Lit. And then on this time, I'll study this time. So setting those slots, designating that time, right? You're just making yourself organized, right? What if, sorry, getting hot here. Let me play devil's advocate here. What if I designate times, I set apart hours, Dianne, like you're saying, and I still lose track of time? Maybe you guys are the ones who have the poor sense of time, right? You do set it aside an hour or two for a certain subject, but maybe you get distracted, maybe you lose the sense of time. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you just watch the clock, but I think it's all about having that want, that consciousness of knowing what kind of procrastinator you are and taking that head on. If you're the avoider, because something is intimidating or it's boring, trust me, I don't like American literature, and I had to read 50 books to get ready for an exam, and it was absolutely boring. But set goals that help you kind of push through that time and make you conscious of that time, if that makes sense to anybody. All right. If I'm not making sense, stop me and ask me, what do you mean by that? Okay. Because I have no problem defining it a little bit more. Okay. Here's some other time management strategies, right? Giving each task a time limit, right? So on your daily list of things to do, you can look at how much time you think will one subject or one activity need, right? So for example, this presentation, right? We have a whole hour and I think 30 minutes with each other. I could have set a time 30 minutes for this presentation, but what if you guys asked me a lot of questions? What if I had technical difficulties? What if, right? What if, right? So me being conscious of time, I wanted to give an hour because I wanted to be conscious of everybody else's time. And maybe if you guys had questions, I wanted to give everybody that few minutes of my time to answer them. Because if I'm rushed and I rush through this presentation and I don't give you guys the time, then I wasn't really conscious of it, right? So I gave myself a healthy time limit, right, to get this done, if that makes sense to you guys, right? Remember when we talked about distractions? Blocking out those distractions. A lot of this has to do with our willpower, people, right? Turning off, the notifications. I know TikTok videos are really fun to watch, especially when we start getting into like bloopers, or we start looking at like cute cat videos, and we, like you say, you think like because these videos are so short, you're like, oh, this is gonna take like 5 minutes. Bam, whole marathon of cat videos. Put it away. Have the will to put it away. I see my phone right there and I already want to go on YouTube, right? Make sure that you're in the right mindset, right? Maybe I don't know about you guys, but when I'm in my apartment and I'm by myself and I have to do a bunch of tasks, I find things to do. Having that will to just, I know you're intimidated, I know you don't want to do this, I know it's boring, but just do it. Think how good it's going to feel when you just get this done, right? Goals. So establishing a routine. So routines is like scheduling, right? While we're at work, we're at school, and daily life, create a routine that makes the most sense for your position. For your position. So all of you guys are students. How many of you guys here are parents, or you're an older brother or a sister or a caregiver, or you guys have jobs? How many of you guys have other responsibilities besides school? Thank you. Oh no, go back. Okay, cool. Okay, so we all have lives, right? When we establish a routine, and even though it's hard at first to make a schedule and stick to the schedule, when you actually start getting into that rhythmic flow of a schedule, 8 a.m. do this, 9 a.m. do this. I have an appointment at 1. Okay, maybe I can get some grocery shopping done by 1, go there, right? Write it down because I'm just doing it in my head, right? Admit. So when you guys get into a routine, you guys are doing something else. You guys are also conditioning yourselves into that routine. The more you stick with it, the more you do it every day, the more it's going to become more natural to you and less like a chore, right? Scheduling and daily routines shouldn't feel like a chore because we're just literally living our lives day to day, right? So when you establish a routine, it helps you stay organized, it helps you avoid distractions, and becomes natural. It becomes natural to start waking up, at 8 a.m. It becomes natural, to get the coffee by, we're not going to go that far to do coffee at 8:15 and then have 5 minutes to drink coffee and then 5 minutes to have pancakes. I'm not telling you guys to do that. But when you start feeling more conscious about the time that you're doing something versus being rushed to do everything, it becomes more natural. And I have some chats. Oh my goodness, sorry. So let's look at managing time for daily tasks. And this is the part where I'm going to make assumptions about scheduling, about how you guys as people with 2 jobs, 3 jobs, with people with young children, people with younger siblings or caretakers. So I'm not going to get it right because I don't know your lives, but I'm going to give examples and I'll use my life as an example as well. Okay. Daily tasks for groceries, for cooking, for scheduling doctor's appointments and children, right? Again, using a planner and a calendar are excellent tools to learn how to organize your time and learn how to pencil in time for other people, time for our children, and time to just let loose and be with friends, right? Again, this is us conditioning ourselves into creating that daily schedule. So there's less stress, there's less anxiety, there's less rushing. Everything is now going to go like with the flow. Here's an example of my schedule, and then I'll move on with the schedule with someone with a child. And again, I'm not a parent. And I know that the one with the example with parents with children, I know some of you guys with parents are going to be like, oh, hell no, that is not realistic. What if my kid gets sick? What if he or she doesn't want to get out of bed? What if there's parent teacher conferences? What if it's a holiday? Da, 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 da. I understand it's not realistic, but hear me out. Okay, here's my schedule, right? Again, waking up at 5:50 to get ready, making my lunches for my partner and I, leave to work. I take into account my commute time. Sometimes when I know that the weather is going to be bad, like on a rainy day, or if I see a notification for traffic, I'll check Google Maps and see what my estimated time is. I'm not always going to get it right. And something that we all have to accept, that life happens. Okay. And that's okay to get off schedule, to wing it a little bit, right? Then my work day is from 8 to 4:30. I clock out. I go meet my partner at the gym. Then we come home, we make dinner, and that's our downtime. We get ready for bed. Obviously, it's not granted that we're going to get to bed by 9:30 or 10 o'clock. When someone says, are you still awake? Because I can't sleep. And that's when he goes and sleeps on the couch. And then weekends is my time. I can do whatever I want. I can put my schedule aside for the weekday. Okay. So that's how I schedule myself, is looking at every time frame and seeing what I can fit there. It's not always going to go this schedule, but that's more or less what I've conditioned my daily routine to look like. People with parents. I know there's some school districts that have different not check-in times, but like class times that start. Again, I know this isn't realistic, right? But as a parent, as an adult with multiple jobs, it's just creating those time slots and seeing realistically, how much time will I have to fit in an appointment? What is my commute time? What time can I get my children up, get them ready, get them fed, and get them out the door, right? Maybe we meal prep for our kids. Maybe we have those frozen sandwich thingies. I don't know, right? Everybody is going to have their own way of creating a routine to get themselves out the door, to get the kids out the door, to create that conditioning of routine, if that makes sense to everybody. Some of you guys, again, playing devil's advocate here, what if these strategies don't work? What if I stay a procrastinator? What if I do the planner, I write down my schedule, I use my phone to set alerts and reminder times, and I keep pressing the button for later? Give me 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes. What if this stuff doesn't work? Then this is something that, again, it's about will sometimes, that you have to ask yourself, what's stopping me from getting to this task? What's stopping me from getting it done? Are you unmotivated? Ask yourself, are you unmotivated? Are you unsure or intimidated by the task because you need help, or you're unsure how to do it? So we keep avoiding it, even if we put it on our planner, or it's something due for school. Or do you just book tasks or unrealistic goals, right? We think we can do it, but we don't do it because it's hard, it's scary, right? So this is where we have to assess ourselves and think life is hard, but it's natural to get lazy. It's natural to be afraid not to do something. But this is where I said to set realistic goals and times to schedule things to get done, right? If you think something is going, let's say homework. If you think your homework is going to take 30 minutes, put aside an hour. If you have to wash your car, you think that's going to take you an hour? Put aside 2 hours. Run with this. If you set aside 2 hours to wash your car because you think it's going to take an hour, imagine when you get done within 40 minutes. I know that's not realistic. An hour to wash your car, and then you still have that other hour. You just made yourself extra time. And then you look back and you think, oh my God, I got this done within the 2 hour gap. Check. What else can I do with this hour time slot? I think I'm gonna go, I've earned a break. So I'm gonna go inside and I'm going to watch TV for a little bit. When you make realistic goals and you start to kind of check off the things that you set aside to do, you start to feel good about it. You start to think, I can do it. This isn't so hard. What else can I do? Right? By making to-do lists and completing those tasks visually, it motivates you. Seeing how much you're crossing things off, watching your list get slow, excuse me, watching that list get smaller. It's kind of like, if I gave you another example, it's like exercising and getting healthier, right? It's hard in the beginning. It's hard to wake up in the morning to go for a run. It's hard to give up the cheeseburger and pizza for a really crappy salad. I know salads are delicious, but sometimes they're not fun to eat, and you have to think that it's a burger just to get through it. But then when you start seeing yourself with more energy, you start feeling more confident, you start wanting to get up and run, you start wanting to cook better meals. When you start to visually see something and it starts to feel good, you stop avoiding it. You stop avoiding the tasks that you didn't want to do, because now you have control of when to do it. And again, this comes with time. So when we create these routines, when we create our schedules, when we take a look at our life and assess what we can, how we can create those slots, those time frames, that daily, weekly schedule, you're actually reconditioning yourself, your brain, to uh, do daily tasks, right? If we're used to staying up late, and then we end up oversleeping, we're going to be late for class, right? And we might think it's easy. It's as easy as just go to bed earlier and set the alarm, you know? But even if we do that, we're still going to feel tired and groggy. But it's a process to keep doing it and keep doing it until we see that result, until we start seeing some change. And that's when we start kind of feeling control. We stop feeling that stress. We start feeling that urge to uh, avoid it, or sorry, there's a mosquito here and I don't want it to bite me. We start feeling that want to do more because we have more time, right? So I think if any of you, which some of you guys have admitted that you guys are procrastinators, I think the first thing that you guys should do is ask yourself, which procrastinator are you? What are the strategies that I can do? And I've named a few, and some of them aren't going to work for all of you, but find the one that works for you. Either if it's writing something down like a checklist, or you're using your phone to create appointments, or you're just starting to recondition yourself with just change, you'll see it happen, but it does take time. Here's our contact information, or my contact information. Something about, or a little bit about my job here at Career and Pathways, is I help students out with resume assistance. We do monthly career related workshops. We do job search assistance and career counseling. So here's our information if you ever need some of those things. And I think that concludes our presentation. I have, I wasn't clapping. There's a mosquito here. It's going to bite me. So I left some time on purpose for you guys to ask me some questions about the presentation, or if you guys want to ask a scenario, just any type of questions. Now is the time.